Chapter 51 Talismans slay enemies. The three Black Wind Fiends. They are notorious evil practitioners in the Matushan area. Legend has it that the three of them specialized in robbing low-level disciples. However, these three were also very cunning. They specifically targeted those independent cultivators who had no power, influence, or background, or outer disciples of sects. In this way, even if one or two are killed, those sects won't expend much effort to investigate. Besides, there's no evidence. Everything about the Black Wind Three Fiends is just a legend. This time, it was clear that the three fiends mistook He Pingsheng for an ordinary rogue cultivator. As a rogue cultivator with no sect or background, you were able to break through 2 levels in less than 2 years. You must have something good on you. And you even have a storage bag? Whoosh! The flying boat, carrying the eldest and third leaders of the Black Wind Trio, soared into the sky and chased after He Pingsheng. The airship flies very fast. It was much faster than He Pingsheng's paper cranes. This was a treasure obtained after the Black Wind Three Fiends killed a rogue cultivator last time, and it's perfect for the pursuit. After about half an incense stick's time, the flying boat caught up with He Pingsheng in the air above a high mountain range. Boy, get down here. On the flying boat, the leader suddenly waved his hand, and a fireball shot from a distance. He Pingsheng was immediately alarmed and quickly tried to lower the paper crane. Then he jumped straight to the ground. Why? Because if you are ambushed in the air, you might not be killed by the attacker, but fall to your death from a great height. Snort. The eldest and third brothers landed on the ground after He Pingsheng. Hehehe. Black Wind Boss looked at He Pingsheng with a ferocious expression and said, "Kid, you're quite rich. You actually bought such a high-end item as a storage bag. Hand over your storage bag, and I might consider sparing your life." He Pingsheng crouched down and kept backing away, his divine sense sweeping out. He could also see through the cultivation levels of the two people opposite him. A Qi Refining Stage 7. An 8th level Qi Refining Cultivator. They are all taller than him. I'll say it again, hand over your treasure, and I might spare you. Black Wind Boss followed He Pingsheng, walking up step by step. Although he kept begging for mercy, his hands kept moving. Suddenly, he blasted out a fireball and threw it at He Pingsheng. He Pingsheng had already been preparing carefully, so the moment the fireball hit him, he rolled away to avoid it. However, just as He Pingsheng stood up from the ground, he suddenly noticed that Black Wind Third Brother was launching another fireball at him. He Pingsheng had no experience in fighting and was momentarily at a loss for how to respond. He could only hastily summon his palm-sized alchemy furnace, temporarily open it, and throw it out. Bang! The fireball slammed into the alchemy furnace. The alchemy furnace wasn't a defensive artifact to begin with, so it was blasted away and landed on the ground several dozen feet away. It's unclear whether it was damaged or not. Hey! Black Wind Elder said, "This fellow has so many treasures on him. It's actually a top-grade magic artifact alchemy furnace. Third brother, let's all attack together and kill him." The two of them condensed another fireball and blasted it towards He Pingsheng. He Pingsheng was much calmer at this point. "Do you have magic? But I don't." With a thought, 2 fire crows flew out from his palms and, under his divine control, blasted towards the Black Wind Boss and the third boss from the left and right respectively. The spell following the true method of departing fire crow technique. Bang! Bang! The 2 fire crows crashed right into the fireballs of the 2 men. The 2 fireballs were shattered into pieces upon impact. But the 2 fire crows did not disperse. They continued to attack Black Wind's eldest and third brothers. Moreover, because He Pingsheng's divine sense was powerful, he could control the direction of the 2 fire crows. The 2 leaders of Black Wind were immediately at a disadvantage. However, these 2 were experienced in combat and had a variety of defensive techniques. The 2 spiritual energy shields combined easily blocked the fire crow. After all, the fire crow was also at its last gasp. At this moment, He Pingsheng suddenly remembered that he had also practiced the fire shield technique. Hey! How could I have forgotten to use it? Besides, the top-grade magic weapon, the Greenwood Shield, has not been refined. Otherwise, even with the Orochi shield, they could have blocked the fireballs from those two. At this moment, He Pingxing suddenly felt a little regretful. With so much time on your hands, why didn't you think of refining all the treasures? This kid is a bit strange. Shoot from a distance. Swoosh. The two brothers immediately retreated, putting some distance between themselves and He Pingxing. Cut. With a wave of his hand, the leader tossed out a palm-sized flying sword. This flying sword was a mid-grade magic weapon. Supported by magic power, it grew in size as it faced the wind, instantly turning into a 3-foot-long sword that slashed towards He Pingxing from a distance. Of course, the distance can't be too far either. It must be within the control of divine will. Otherwise, it would be impossible to control the flying sword. He Pingxing was very calm this time. He took a deep breath, and a fire attribute energy shield immediately appeared around his body. Fire shield. Click. The flying sword struck He Pingxing's shield hard. The light on the shield dimmed slightly. But it didn't break. Of course, there are still cracks. Slash. However, the Black Wind 3 fiends did not attack alone. The exciting content. After the eldest brother's flying sword struck, the third brother's flying sword followed suit. He Pingxing's fire shield technique shattered instantly after being struck by 2 flying swords. He rolled over and distanced himself from Black Wind Boss and Boss 3. It is necessary to maintain a distance outside of the two people's spiritual consciousness. But the other party isn't stupid either. They retreated while they advanced, relentlessly pursuing He Pingxing. Ha ha ha, no rush. Black Wind Boss laughed heartily. We'll wear him down, don't worry, the treasure is ours. He Pingxing couldn't help but feel a little anxious. He vowed that once he returned, he would definitely refine the flying sword and the azure wood shield. Go! During a gap in He Pingxing's defense, 2 more fire crows materialized and crashed fiercely into the 2 brothers. At the same time, he waved his hand and pulled out another talisman from his sleeve. Fireball talisman. This thing was enhanced by him using the Fireball talisman before. I don't know how powerful it is. Give it a try. Open. He Pingxing unleashed his magical power, and the talisman instantly unfolded, sending out a fireball. Without deviating from its target, it blasted straight at the Black Wind Boss. It's more accurate to call it a fireball than a fireball. This thing was incredibly fast, carrying a massive amount of fire attribute power, and it slammed into the chest of the Black Wind Boss with a bang. Black Wind Boss had absolutely no time to react. Bang! Black Wind Elder died without suffering, because his body had been blown into countless pieces. Damn it! Seeing that He Pingxing had actually produced such a powerful talisman, the third brother of Black Wind didn't care about his boss anymore and ran away. Very fast. In the blink of an eye, they had covered a distance of several dozen feet. It looked like this guy was about to disappear into the depths of the jungle. He Pingxing then took out another talisman, the Ice Arrow talisman. Go! Swoosh! A 2-foot-long ice arrow shot out with a bang, catching up with the fleeing third brother in the blink of an eye, and then piercing his heart with a single arrow. Black Wind third brother is dead. Chapter 52 Invisible Storage Bag. Huff. Huff. He Pingxing was panting heavily. The duel just now didn't consume much of my strength or spiritual power. However, this first murder took a lot of his energy. Fear. Terrification. I feel dazed. A narrow escape. Thank goodness. A variety of emotions swirled in the mind of an 18-year-old boy. This put a lot of pressure on him psychologically. However, He Pingxing was clear-headed. He went to the Black Wind Boss, who had been blown into countless pieces, and picked up the Black Wind Boss's treasure bag. I opened it and took a look. Several hundred spirit stones, some Earth-rank magic treasures, and 2 cultivation manuals. That's all. He Pingxing didn't have time to take stock, so he dumped everything in the treasure bag into his own treasure bag. Then they went to the third brother's side. The third brother is dead. He had an ice arrow, more than 2 feet long, stuck in his body. An ice arrow pierced his body from behind. He turned into an ice statue. He Pingxing ignored the Iceman and took out his treasure bag as well. They took everything inside with them. Walk. Call out. He mounted a paper crane and soared into the sky once more, heading towards the sect. His treasure bag was filled with so many items and spirit stones that it was overflowing. Therefore, He Pingxing naturally dared not return to the sect so casually. In case someone searches your treasure bag, how do you explain so many spirit stones? Then the only option is to die. So, He Pingxing returned to the outer gate, to his own small courtyard. After closing the door, he sat cross-legged on the bed, threw all his belongings on the bed, and began to take stock. We killed the leader and third brother of the Black Wind Trio and obtained quite a few items. First, there are spirit stones. It costs about $800 in total. Adding He Pingxing's original 1,100 yuan, it's now about 1,900 yuan. Besides spirit stones, there are also magical artifacts. 2 flying swords. One is a mid-grade magic weapon, and the other is a low-grade magic weapon. A mid-grade magic artifact, the cloud-piercing boat. This is interesting. He Pingxing picked up the palm-sized flying boat artifact and examined it, muttering to himself, "This thing is surprisingly fast, I can use it for long journeys in the future." Aside from these, there are no other magical artifacts. He Pingxing then took out 4 more books. These 4 books are all cultivation methods. 2 fire attribute cultivation techniques. One is a metal attribute cultivation technique, and the other is a wood attribute cultivation technique. Fire and wood attributes are of little use to He Pingxing. However, this metal attribute technique can be strengthened. In this way, He Pingxing possessed cultivation techniques with the 4 attributes of metal, wood, fire, and earth, lacking only the water attribute among the 5 elements. After taking inventory of the items, night fell. He Pingxing took out the storage bag again and poured all the spirit stones inside onto the ground with a whoosh. Then, he threw the storage bag into the treasure bowl. Strengthen. Look at this storage bag, see how much it can be enhanced. Filled with endless fantasies, He Pingxing lay down in his little house and fell fast asleep. I was awakened several times last night by dreaming of fighting with the 3 Black Wind Fiends. The night passed by as though. The next morning, He Pingxing got out of bed, rubbing his slightly swollen eyes, and reached under the bed to pull out the treasure basin. Inside the treasure basin are 2 storage bags. Phew! Seeing the 2 storage bags, He Pingxing breathed a sigh of relief. The enhancement was successful. I just don't know what quality this storage bag has been upgraded to. He reached out and grabbed one at random. The divine sense attached itself to the storage bag and then extended into the space within it. This. The next moment, He Pingxing was shocked. A 10 zhong space? Good. This storage bag contains a space of 10 zhong, approximately 33 meters. It is 10 zhong wide, 10 zhong long, and 10 zhong high. It can hold a lot of items. It can store far more things than a high-grade storage bag. He Pingxing gasped in shock. Could it be a top-grade one? This. After attaching his divine sense to the storage bag, He Pingxing also captured some other information about it. Besides increasing the storage space, this storage bag has another function: invisibility. That's right. Once hung around the neck, the storage bag will vanish into nothingness. Even He Pingxing himself couldn't see it, he could only communicate with it through his divine sense and the storage bag. Very good. He Pingxing finally breathed a sigh of relief. He was initially worried about what to do with the storage bags. For example, wouldn't it be too ostentatious if the elders saw it? Even if you hide it inside your clothes, it's useless. Someone can still scan your storage bag with their divine sense. But now it's all good. The storage bag has completely disappeared. The other party is the kind that even divine sense cannot detect. After that, we can use it without any restraint. Pack. He Pingxing quickly stuffed all his belongings into the storage bag. From now on, we won't have to bury things in the ground anymore. As for the other storage bag, he also attached it to his body after imbuing it with his divine sense. Since you can become invisible anyway, it doesn't make much difference whether you hang 1 or 2. As for the treasure bag, He Pingxing did use it to store some things. My dear reader, there's more to, even more exciting content awaits. For example, a low-grade flying sword, his own alchemy furnace, a dozen spirit stones, a low-grade confinement array material, and a few tattered low-level cultivation manuals. We're not afraid of others finding out about these things. After doing all this, He Pingxing left his courtyard and went straight up the mountain. After returning to Xiuzhu Peak, He Pingxing greeted Zhao Linga and then went into seclusion again. There were quite a few things to do during this retreat. First, refine the two magical artifacts, the flying sword and the greenwood shield. In future battles, I will be able to handle both offense and defense with much more ease, unlike yesterday when I was so flustered. Strengthen the training method. He further enhanced the two cultivation techniques with metal and earth attributes respectively. Then I chose a cultivation method based on local attributes. Day to day. In the blink of an eye, another year has passed. He Pingxing cultivated the earth and metal attribute techniques, and mastered both of them to the 6th level of the Qi refining stage. Looking inward, one can see 4 vortexes rotating in his dantian. Each cyclone is a gathering of spiritual energy of a certain attribute. The reason why he cultivated so quickly was that He Pingxing had already broken through the 1st to 6th layers of the physical barrier, so there were no bottlenecks. The so-called subsequent cultivation of other attributes was just the accumulation of spiritual power. When things fall into place naturally, things will happen quickly. Besides cultivation, He Pingxing also attaches great importance to magic after the last battle. He also learned a defensive spell with the earth attribute, called Earth Armor Technique. After this spell is cast, it can form a layer of armor around the body that resembles a mountain or rock, providing extremely strong defense. Another way to save your life. He Pingxing felt that if he were to encounter the Black Wind 3 fiends again at this moment, he would definitely be able to handle them with ease. Chapter 53 Midgrade, Seeking Elixir Metal, Wood, Fire, Earth. He Pingxing practiced 4 different cultivation methods. However, it only has 3 spells. Fire Crow Technique, Fire Shield Technique, Earth Armor Technique. 2 are defensive, and 1 is offensive. With the now refined Greenwood Shield, he now has 4 defensive options. However, their only means of attack is the Fire Crow Technique. That's a bit too little. After flipping through several cultivation manuals, I couldn't find any better spells to practice. However, this is enough for He Pingxing for the time being. He believes that with his 4 dantian, he can definitely crush opponents of the same level. The last great battle taught him a lesson. Talismans are very important. If necessary, it is advisable to buy more talismans. What's next? Should I continue cultivating and break through to the 7th level of Qi refining, or should I search for a 5th cultivation technique to complete the 5 elements? He Pingxing doesn't have obsessive-compulsive disorder, but he feels that if all 5 elements come together, it will definitely be beneficial and harmless. Let's go take a look. He opened his courtyard gate and walked outside. This time, instead of going to the treasure pavilion at the back, he went directly down the mountain and arrived at the shop on the 2nd floor of the outer gate hall. Senior brother, please, what would you like to order? The outer disciples looked at He Pingxing with great respect. He Pingxing unleashed his divine sense without any restraint. There's absolutely no need to consider the other person's feelings. The other party's cultivation level was also quite high, actually being a 5th level Qi refining cultivator. I'd like 2 portions of the ingredients for the Golden Bone Pill. The Golden Bone Pill was the first type of pill He Pingxing came into contact with. Back when he was still doing menial tasks, Senior Sister Luoyu gave him 2 pills, which He Pingxing enhanced into top-grade Golden Bone Pills. The best Golden Bone Pill can instantly repair any skin or flesh wounds after being swallowed. That's incredibly incredible. This thing is definitely important. If you swallow one in a critical moment, it can save your life. After the last fight, He Pingxing felt that he needed to prepare some Golden Bone Pills. After obtaining the materials for 2 Golden Bone Pills, He Pingxing began to wander around the main hall. After looking around, I didn't see any water attribute techniques. Aren't there any water attribute ones? He Pingxing asked. No. The outer disciple smiled bitterly. Outer sect resources are scarce. However, if you need a water attribute cultivation technique, I do have a way. Oh. He Pingxing looked at the outer disciple. The outer disciple whispered, I cultivate a water attribute technique passed down in my family. If you want it, senior brother, I can make a copy for you. He. The outer disciple looked at He Pingxing and gave a seemingly simple and honest smile. There are some things he's too embarrassed to say directly. Ku Heping naturally understood. He thought for a moment and said, outer sect practitioners usually sell cultivation techniques for 35 spirit stones. If it's a complete water attribute cultivation technique, I'll give you 30. If you have water-based magic, I'll give you $50. Some low-level cultivation techniques come with spells, while others do not. There are many more examples. That's why He Pingxing made that statement. All right, the disciple said, I'll go and make a copy first, and I'll come back in a few days, senior brother. Don't worry, there's a water attribute spell at the end of my cultivation technique. Okay. He Pingxing nodded. After agreeing on the location and time for the transaction, he returned to his own courtyard on Xiaozhu Peak. Continue refining the elixir. Because there are tasks to be completed every month. For the next few days, He Pingxing spent all his time refining pills. He first refined 2 batches of golden bone pills, and to his surprise, they were completed in one go without any waste. Moreover, 1 batch of golden bone pills actually produced 4 medium-grade pills. This made He Pingxing extremely happy. Although quality wasn't important to him, since he had the treasure basin to enhance it, the fact that he could refine a mid-grade alchemy product meant that his alchemy skills had improved, which was naturally something to be happy about. After refining the golden bone pill, refine the chi gathering pill. 1 furnace. 2 furnaces. 3 furnaces. The success rate hasn't improved much. He still only has about a 1/3 success rate when refining chi gathering pills. However, he discovered that 4 out of the 5 batches of chi gathering pills he had refined contained mid-grade pills. Moreover, each batch contains 4 medium-grade and 8 low-grade grains. He Pingxing didn't hold back and handed all the pills over to Zhao Linga. When Zhao Linga checked, she was overjoyed to find so many mid-grade pills. She exclaimed, Junior brother, you can refine mid-grade chi gathering pills now. This is really good news. Mid-grade pills are far superior to low-grade ones. First, there's the medicinal effect. For the same pill, a mid-grade chi gathering pill is more than twice as potent as a low-grade one. Secondly, there is erysipelas. Every medicine has some degree of toxicity, and elixirs are no exception. Because regardless of whether it is a superior, medium, or inferior grade elixir, it contains more or less impurities, and these impurities are the source of erysipelas. A medium-grade erysipelas is 1/10 the size of a low-grade one. As a result, mid-grade items are naturally more popular among cultivators. Maybe it's because I've practiced alchemy a lot that my skills have improved. He Pingxing chuckled and scratched the back of his head, looking rather simple and honest. Senior sister, I've been in the sect for 2 years now, and I've been practicing alchemy for 2 years. It's normal for my skills to improve a bit. Yes. Zhao Linga exclaimed, this is a good thing. Let's go and report to our master. This chapter is not finished. Please click the next page to continue reading. The two entered the Jade Tranquility Palace together, and Jade Tranquility Immortal was quite pleased, rewarding He Pingxing with 200 spirit stones. After leaving Yu Ning Palace, He Pingxing went down the mountain again and went to the outer gate. Because the time agreed upon with that outer disciple had arrived. The outer gate, in a secluded place. Senior brother, look, this is my family's ancestral martial arts technique, and I've copied it down for you. Please compare them. He Pingxing picked up the 2 cultivation techniques and compared them. We must be serious. Because the cultivation method is very special, not a single word can be wrong. It took He Pingxing a full half-hour to carefully compare the copy word by word before he said, very good, it's correct. Here are 50 spirit stones. Don't tell anyone about this. Don't worry, senior brother, the disciple said. This is my family's secret technique. I'm too afraid of losing face to pass it on. All right. He Pingxing cupped his hands in farewell. Back at the courtyard on Xiaozhu Peak, He Pingxing didn't say a word. He simply threw the water attribute cultivation technique into the treasure basin and began to strengthen it. I hadn't been in the courtyard for even half an incense stick's time when I heard a commotion outside. Interspersed with this was a rude knocking on the door. Junior brother He, is Junior brother He there? Come out quickly. He Pingxing frowned slightly. How rude. He remembered clearly that the sign he had just hung at the door was a closed door sign. They all saw I was in seclusion. Why the hell are they still banging on and on? However, since there are people shouting outside, we should still go out and take a look. He Pingxing reluctantly got up and opened the courtyard gate. A woman dressed in red stood outside the courtyard gate. Upon seeing He Pingxing, she exclaimed, "You must be Junior brother He Pingxing. That's wonderful. Here, I have 10 sets of materials. Please help me refine 10 batches of mid-grade qi gathering pills." Chapter 54 The Golden Python. He Pingxing's eyes narrowed slightly. He knew the person who came. Exquisite. Disciple of Master Yuda. Back when he was just a handyman, it was this Linglong who came up with an accusation, insisting that the deterioration of the spring water quality was caused by He Pingxing. As a result, he was severely beaten by Boss Zhong. Regardless of the circumstances, the beating she received back then was caused by Linglong. But it doesn't matter. It's just a beating. The key point is that this same vicious woman beat up her senior brother Hao Yun and then killed him. It's all her. They actually came to my door today asking me to refine pills? What's wrong? Are you stupid? Linglong asked He Pingxing. Clearly, she did not recognize He Pingxing. Because He Pingxing's appearance, age, and temperament are completely different from the boy he was back then. It's normal that she doesn't know her. As for the name, Linglong had no idea what the servant's name was back then. He Pingxing didn't stand on ceremony. His divine sense extended out and swept over Linglong's body. Qi refining stage 10. Hiss hiss hiss. So strong. Your cultivation level is truly high. Oh. Linglong's lips curled into a teasing smile as she said, "What, secretly scanning your senior sister with your divine sense? Is it because I'm pretty that you want to peek at my body?" Linglong's eyes darted around as she stared at He Pingxing. He Pingxing remained calm and composed, cupping his hands in a slight gesture of respect, and said, "I apologize. I only subconsciously wanted to see senior sister's cultivation level, but I didn't expect that senior sister's cultivation level was so profound that it was beyond the comprehension of a mere 6th level qi refining disciple like myself." HMPH. Linglong said, "At least you have some self-awareness." "How is it?" She handed over the jade box in her hand. "Can you refine 10 batches of mid-grade pills for me without any problem? I just heard that you can now refine mid-grade qi gathering pills." The disciples on Xiaozhu Peak all knew that He Pingxing could refine pills. At first, no one cared. Why? Because everyone can refine pills. Isn't it just about the success rate of the location? A set of materials costs only 7 spirit stones, which is affordable. Things changed when He Pingxing finally managed to refine a mid-grade elixir. Mid-grade. Throughout Xiaozhu Peak, apart from the ancestor and a few foundation establishment stage masters and senior uncles, no one could do it. So Linglong arrived as soon as she received the news. "Senior sister." He Pingxing politely cupped his hands in greeting. "First of all, alchemy has a success rate. If you give me 10 sets of materials and ask me to refine 10 sets of pills, I can't do it. Even if you find the founder of the sect, I'm afraid he still couldn't do it." Linglong nodded and said, "Then tell me, how many batches can you successfully produce?" He Pingxing didn't answer her question at all, but said, "Secondly, I am a disciple of Yu Ning Palace, and I have no obligation to refine pills for you. I have to refine 5 batches of pills for my sect every month, which has already consumed 10 days of my cultivation time. So I will use the rest of my time for cultivation, and I will not help others refine pills. Senior sister, please go back." Linglong's expression suddenly changed, and she said, What do you mean? He Pingxing said again, I don't have time, I'm sorry. After saying that, he closed the courtyard gate. Alchemy? You're overthinking it. Bang bang bang. Linglong was knocking violently on the door from outside. He Pingxing, don't think that just because you're an inner disciple you can offend me. Let me tell you, Master Yuda is my grandfather. If you offend me, you'll never survive in Xiaozhu Peak. He Pingxing was taken aback. Yuda's granddaughter? No wonder. No wonder. No wonder this woman is so arrogant and domineering. She only reflected on her actions for a few days after killing Hao Yun. But what about Yuda's granddaughter? I am not a disciple of your Yuda sect. He Pingxing ignored him, shook his head, and returned to his own dojo. After pounding on the door for a while, Linglong outside fell silent. But about half an hour later, Zhao Linga came again. Junior brother. I am your 6th senior sister. He Pingxing had no choice but to open the door again. A disciple from the outer sect was also with Zhao Linga. What's wrong, senior sister? He Pingxing asked, somewhat surprised. Zhao Linga said with some worry in her eyes, this is a disciple of Master Yuda. He came over and said that Master Yuda would like to invite you over for a talk. He Pingxing's heart skipped a beat. Damn it, I just rejected Linglong, and now Master Yuda is looking for me? Isn't this too much favoritism? Uncle Yuda, what brings you here? He Pingxing asked the young Taoist. The young Taoist was only at the 4th level of the Qi refining stage, but he was handsome and petite, with a pitiful appearance. I don't know. The young Taoist shook his head. Master Yuda didn't say. Zhao Linga said, it's probably because of Linglong's alchemy. Don't worry, although Uncle Yuda is strict, he's not an unreasonable person. All right. Junior brother, you go with him first. I'll go and report this to my master right away, and ask her to take action. Don't worry, we will definitely not let you suffer any losses. As for alchemy, you can do it if you want, or not if you don't. We people from Yuning Palace don't need to be at the mercy of Hongda Yuan. Okay. He Pingxing nodded, that was the only way. He believed that his master would stand by his side when it mattered most. The exciting content. So they split into 2 groups. Zhao Linga went to Yuning Palace, while He Pingxing followed the young Taoist to Hongda Garden. Hongda Garden wasn't too far away. We arrived in no time. Upon reaching the entrance, the young Taoist said, please wait here for a moment, senior brother. I will inform the patriarch immediately. Yes. He Pingxing nodded. After about a dozen more breaths, the Taoist boy still hadn't come out, but He Pingxing suddenly sensed an extremely dangerous aura. He didn't know the specifics, but his intuition told him that if he didn't leave quickly, he would be in immediate danger of losing his life. So He Pingxing used all his strength and jumped away. At this moment, a giant golden python suddenly rushed out of Hongda Garden and blasted towards the spot where He Pingxing had just stood. Bang! The immense force smashed a deep crater into the ground at the entrance of Hongda Garden. He Pingxing was so frightened that he trembled and ran away without saying a word. The giant golden python suddenly darted after them. He Pingxing's speed was no match for the giant python's speed. Before long, the giant python caught up with He Pingxing from behind, then opened its massive jaws and lunged at him from above. If He Pingxing were bitten by this, he would be swallowed whole. He Pingxing had heard of this giant python long ago. This was raised by Master Yuda, and now its cultivation level is comparable to that of a human in the foundation establishment stage. He Pingxing is no match for him. He reached into his sleeve and pulled out a talisman, a fireball talisman. He didn't know if he could defeat the giant python. But surely one should struggle a little before dying. Chapter 55. A heart like a serpent open. He Pingxing had nowhere left to retreat. With a wave of his hand, the talisman transformed into a fireball about a foot in size, which flew out with a roar and shot into the giant python's mouth. The speed was too fast. The giant python had no way to dodge it. Boom! The fireball talisman exploded inside the giant python's mouth. Splash! Immediately, bright red blood fell from the sky. The giant python, in pain, naturally could not continue to devour He Pingxing. However, it was in great agony, and its huge head twisted violently, crashing into He Pingxing. By this time, He Pingxing had already made preparations. He had a layer of earth armor spread out on his body, and then a layer of fire shield spread out on his body. In addition, he also managed to open up the top-grade magic weapon, the Greenwood Shield. It has 3 layers of defense. Even a cultivator at the 12th level of the Qi refining stage might not be able to break through these 3 layers of shields in one go. However, the giant golden python above was only at the foundation establishment stage. Bang! He Pingxing was instantly knocked away. His 3-layered shield was torn apart as if it were made of paper. The Orochi shield was also knocked and landed on the ground some distance away. He Pingxing's body flew more than 10 feet into the air before crashing heavily to the ground. PFFT, PFFT, PFFT. After landing, he vomited several mouthfuls of blood. The power of a foundation establishment cultivator is beyond the comprehension of a Qi refining cultivator. Fortunately, He Pingxing possessed 3 layers of shields, and the force of that attack was merely the giant python's release of power when it was in pain, not a true attack. Otherwise, it would be hard to say whether He Pingxing would be alive right now. Roar! The golden python stared at He Pingxing, its vertical pupils surging with boundless hatred, and then it was about to fly over. Just then, He Pingxing's master, Yu Ning, finally arrived. "You beast, how dare you harm my disciple?" Yu Ning took a step and landed in the void. She shook her whisk, and white threads flew down and wrapped around the giant python. The giant python and Yu Ning fought fiercely, and for a time they were evenly matched. Damn beast! At this moment, the master of Hongda Garden, Master Yuda, finally came out of his temple. With a loud shout, he controlled the golden python. What happened? After subduing the giant golden python, Yuda looked at Yu Ning. "Junior sister, why are you fighting with this beast?" HMPH. Yu Ning snorted coldly and said, "You should ask yourself why the giant python suddenly flew out of your palace and injured people. Look at my disciple, if he had been half a breath later, he would have been dead." At this moment, He Pingxing had already stood up from the ground and picked up his Greenwood shield. Then he didn't dare to look up, afraid that Yuda would recognize him. Of course, he was overthinking it. Yuda did not recognize He Pingxing. "Boy, what's going on?" Yuda demanded of He Pingxing. He Pingxing said, "Reporting to my master, one of your disciples said he came on your orders and asked me to go to Hongda Garden for questioning. I followed him to the entrance of Hongda Garden, but I didn't see you. Instead, I saw this giant python rush out of your temple and almost swallow me whole." A Daoist boy. Yuda's eyes narrowed. "No, I didn't summon you. Don't you dare wrong me." Yuda stared at He Pingxing. "Senior uncle." At this moment, Zhao Linga stepped forward and said, "I can testify that it was your disciple Mingzhu who did it."
Fine, fine, fine.
Yu Ning sneered, "Senior brother, this is one of your disciples killing people in your name." Yuda's face turned ashen. "Where's Mingzhu? Get out here. I'd like to ask who gave him the guts." "Grandpa, Grandpa." Just then, Linglong led a group of people out of Hongda Garden and said, "Grandpa, that guy Mingzhu actually dared to forge an imperial edict and almost harmed junior brother He. I have already executed him on the spot. Look." Bang! Several disciples then threw a corpse on the ground. Who else could it be but Mingzhu? This. Everyone was speechless with astonishment. Dead. The dead have no way to testify. He Pingxing took a deep breath and looked at Linglong. If he still didn't know what was going on at this point, he might as well be dead. He must have refused to help this woman refine pills, and she held a grudge, so she made up a reason to trick him into going there, and then use the golden python to kill people. If He Pingxing is killed, all the blame can be placed on the Taoist boy Mingzhu. Well thought out. How ruthless. What a vicious woman. Linglong's gaze also turned towards them. His eyes were filled with provocation, arrogance, and a hint of condescension. "Senior brother," Yu Ning said, "as far as I know, My disciple has no dealings with any of the Daoist disciples in your home garden, nor does he have any grudges against them. If I am not given an explanation for this matter, I will go to Master and demand an explanation. He Pingxing, do you have a grudge against Ming Zhu? After Yu Ning finished speaking, she turned to look at He Pingxing. He Pingxing shook his head. No. I didn't even know Ming Zhu's name until just now. Then it must have been an accident. Yu De concluded directly, this beast doesn't understand human nature. It probably hasn't seen junior nephew He before, which is why it attacked out of fright. No. Zhao Linga shouted from afar, Senior Aunt. It was clearly Linglong who asked junior brother He to refine pills but was refused, and then she plotted to frame him. The exciting content. You must find out the truth. Otherwise, why would Ming Zhu falsely convey your imperial decree and send He Pingxing there? That doesn't make sense. Swish. All eyes turned to Linglong. Linglong panicked and said, Nonsense. I didn't. Yu De's sharp gaze also fell on Linglong. He knew his granddaughter's personality all too well, but he couldn't let this cause her to die, could he? Junior nephew He, what do you think? Yu De looked at He Pingxing. You are the person involved, you have the right to speak. He Pingxing thought for a moment, then cupped his hands and said, This disciple does not know the truth. At the time, I thought it was just because she refused to refine pills. Senior sister Linglong should not be so vicious. He Pingxing naturally wanted to kill Linglong. But he knew it was impossible. Since we can't kill the opponent with one blow, we might as well take a step back. Otherwise, shouting at the top of one's lungs is nothing but a foolish cry. How could someone in a high position possibly kill their granddaughter for their own sake? Even if he is an inner disciple, so what? This isn't cowardice, it's taking a step back to hide and wait for an opportunity. He. Nephew He is right. Yu De smiled and said, Very well, I think this is just a misunderstanding. Let it go, I will continue to investigate this matter. I hope junior nephew He won't take offense, this is some compensation. Take this first. I'll give you an explanation once I've made progress on my end. A magic bag was tossed over. He Pingxing simply asked for it. Why not take advantage of a free lunch? Junior sister, what do you think? Yu De looked at Yu Ning again. Yu Ning nodded, all right, let's leave it at that for now. Pingxing, Linga. Yu Ning turned to look at her disciples. You too, come with me. Chapter 56 Yellow Turban Warriors. Linga, you were reckless today. The moment she stepped into Yu Ning Palace, Master Yu Ning's face darkened. She looked at Zhao Linga and reprimanded her. Without solid evidence, how can you spout nonsense based on mere speculation? She was referring, of course, to Zhao Linga's accusation that Linglong was the mastermind behind the murder. Zhao Linga disagreed, saying, It's clearly her. Everyone on Shouju Peak knows what kind of person she is. My foolish disciple. Yu Ning said, even if you knew, you shouldn't have said it out loud like that. Do you think your senior Uncle Yu De didn't know? Speaking the truth without evidence can easily put you in a passive position. Don't do that again. Oh. Zhao Linga looked aggrieved. He Pingxing said, Master, senior sister is only doing this for my own good. She only does this because she hates evil. Yu Ning nodded and said, I know, you are all good children. Pingxing. Yu Ning looked at He Pingxing and said, You did the right thing. We cultivators cultivate our true nature. She asked you to refine pills. If you want to, then refine them. If you don't want to, then don't. There's no need to make things difficult for yourself. You're refining pills for your sect, which is fulfilling a sect mission. The two are not the same. Yes. He Pingxing cupped his hands in greeting. Yu Ning then asked, Is there anything you don't understand about your cultivation lately? This time, her gaze was directed at the two of them, not just at He Pingxing. Zhao Linga thought for a moment and said, I haven't encountered any major difficulties. With my junior brother's pills supporting me during this time, I'm about to break through to the 9th level. It's just that I took too many pills, and the toxins in my body accumulated excessively and weren't cleaned up properly. Taking too many pills can cause erysipelas, and there is no cure for this. The only way to detoxify is to take the Qingling pill. It's all right. He Pingxing quickly said, I'll just refine a few batches of grade 1 pure spirit pills later. Yu Ning nodded and said, then I'll trouble you. I'll have Linga send you some of the ingredients for the Qingling pill later. Have you encountered any problems during your spiritual practice? These days, you should be close to breaking through too, right? He Pingxing said, breaking through to the 7th level will probably take some time. I have the same problem as my senior sister, I can't consume too many pills. However, I haven't encountered any problems during my cultivation, but I lack some spells. That is a problem. Yu Ning patted her storage bag, took out several books, and said, the spells I usually practice are not fire attribute, and they may not be suitable for you. What do you think of these spell books? Spells are not necessarily appended to the cultivation manual. Some powerful spells can be written into their own books. He Pingxing flipped through the scrolls a few times and picked up a spell called Golden Fist, saying, Master, this disciple wants to cultivate this. All right. Yu Ning readily agreed, saying, you can take it and make a copy, but you still need to return the original to me. However, this spell is a metal elemental spell. Although you can control it with fire elemental power, the effect when you cast it will probably be diminished. In the world of cultivation, spells, like cultivation techniques, are also divided into attributes. Different types of spiritual energy can activate different spells. But it's not absolute. Some spells can be activated by the 5 elements of metal, wood, water, fire, and earth. For example, this Golden Fist is best activated with metal elemental spiritual power. Once mastered, it can turn the hands and arms into gold, just like metal. With one punch, most opponents of the same level will be unable to withstand it. However, if you don't have metal spiritual power, you can use fire spiritual power to activate it. At that time, his arms will turn crimson red, containing fire elemental power. This punch loses its fierce power, and in a fight, it often cannot unleash its full potential. At best, it can only be reduced to 20%. But it didn't matter to He Pingxing. Because he cultivates all 5 elements simultaneously. It has both fire attribute and metal attribute Dantian. Thank you, Master. He Pingxing put away the original, Golden Fist, technique. Yu Ning said, go, but remember, magic is just a side matter, cultivation is the real essence. With higher cultivation levels comes greater strength, but we must not put the cart before the horse and overexploit these things. Yes. He Pingxing bowed again. The two left Yu Ning Palace. Thank you for speaking up for me, senior sister. He Pingxing looked at Zhao Linga with gratitude. Zhao Linga said, it's all right. This woman is ruthless and vicious. Remember that, stay away from her from now on. Yes. He Pingxing nodded. Zhao Linga then said, you go back first, I'll go find some materials for that clear spirit pill for you. He Pingxing returned to his small courtyard, closed the door, and began copying the Golden Fist manual. Early the next morning, He Pingxing got up and first pulled the treasure basin out from under the bed. There are 2 books in the basin. That's a water attribute technique that's been enhanced. He Pingxing glanced at them. They were all of the heaven level. One of them had spells at the back, while the other had no spells appendix. It contains magical techniques. This technique is called Qian Ren Zhen Jie, 1000 Ren True Explanation, and the magical techniques in the talismans that follow are called Ren Shui Dun Fa, Ren Water Escape Technique. It's not an offensive spell, but just a supportive water escape technique. To put it bluntly, it's a life-saving escape method. He Pingxing was somewhat disappointed. He already has several ways to protect himself. What he lacks now is a means of attack. Then the only option is to enhance Golden Fist. This chapter is not finished. Please click the next page to continue reading. However, He Pingxing could not control the result of this enhancement. It's certain that 2 spells with the metal element will be cast, but whether they will be defensive or offensive is hard to say. Throw the copy of Golden Fist into the treasure bowl. Enhancement begins. The next day, upon waking up, I found 2 books of metal attribute spells. First book, the Diamond Shield. He Pingxing's face darkened instantly. Without even reading the contents, just by looking at the name Diamond Shield, he knew that this thing was a defensive spell. Let's look at the second book, the Yellow Turban Warriors. Yellow Turban Warriors? What is this? He Pingxing activated the spell and began to study it. He Pingxing became excited after just finishing studying the outline. Because this is an offensive spell. As the name suggests, the Yellow Turban Warrior is a spell that summons a Yellow Turban Warrior to aid you in battle. The Yellow Turban Warriors are phantoms, but their fighting power should not be underestimated. His abilities are related to the summoner's cultivation level, the density of their magical power, and the strength of their divine sense. Very good. Without saying a word, He Pingxing began to study it. Gather. 20 days later, He Pingxing suddenly opened his eyes and casually pointed to the void in front of him. Bang! Immediately, a golden phantom descended. Yellow Turban Warriors. The Yellow Turban Warrior was a full 10 feet tall, wielding a giant axe. Under He Pingxing's divine control, he swung the axe repeatedly into the void in front of him. Each swing carries immense power. Chapter 57 Trial at Suaping Mountain. Bang! A stone pillar in He Pingxing's room was shattered to pieces by the Yellow Turban Warrior with a single axe blow. So strong. Seeing this, He Pingxing himself was shocked. If this axe blow were to hit a cultivator, even a Qi refining stage cultivator would be severely injured. Receive. He Pingxing waved his hand to dispel the spell, and the Yellow Turban Warrior transformed back into a golden spiritual energy, returning to He Pingxing's dantian. For the next period of time, He Pingxing continued his cultivation. Life was fairly simple. It's all about meditation, spiritual practice, and alchemy. About half a year later, He Pingxing's cultivation finally reached the peak of the 6th level of Qi refining, and he was only 1 step away from breaking through to the 7th level. He estimated that it would take at most a month to complete. At this moment, 3 deep, resonant bell tolls suddenly echoed in the Yuning Palace. He Pingxing quickly packed his things and stood up. He knew that the 3 chimes meant that his master was summoning his disciples, probably to give him some important instructions. He Pingxing dared not delay, hurriedly changed into a clean Taoist robe, and then went to the entrance of Yuning Palace. When we arrived, quite a few people had already gathered there. Come in, all of you. The master's voice came from within the Jade Palace. One by one, the disciples respectfully entered the main hall. In the main hall, in the very center, was a blue stone lotus platform, where Master Yuning was sitting. Below, on the ground, there were 3 more rows of prayer cushions. 3 in each row. There are 9 in total. He Pingxing ranked 9th, so these 9 prayer cushions were naturally prepared for the disciples. Greetings, Master. The disciples bowed to Yuning one by one. The Taoist nun, who sat gracefully on the lotus platform and looked about the same age as a woman in her 50s in the mortal world, nodded slightly and smiled. Children, please sit down. Thank you, Master. Everyone sat down in order. Needless to say, He Pingxing naturally sat in the last seat. To his left is Shu Kunlun, the 8th brother, and further to his left is Xianxia, the 7th brother. Sitting in front of He Pingxing was Zhao Linga, the 6th son. Hey! 9th brother, you're already at the 6th level. Shu Kunlun's eyes widened like saucers. When did this happen? If you advance any further and reach the 7th level of Qi refining, you'll catch up with me. He Pingxing's divine sense swept over Shu Kunlun. Sure enough, this guy was at the 7th level of Qi refining. Fool! Above, Master Yuning looked at Shu Kunlun with a dark expression and said, 8th brother, what have you been doing all day? Your foundation isn't bad, so why haven't you made any progress? How many years has it been? Shu Kunlun's face fell. Master, it's not that I'm stupid. I don't know what's going on either, my cultivation just won't improve. Yuning said, it's just that you didn't put your heart into it. When your junior brother catches up with you and surpasses you, don't even think about being number 8 anymore. Let him be number 8, and you can be number 9. If that doesn't work, I'll send you back to the outer sect. Shu Kunlun was on the verge of tears. Master, please don't. HMPH. Yu Ning snorted coldly, then her gaze fell on He Pingsheng. Pingsheng, I remember that you broke through from the 5th level of Qi refining to the 6th level not long after you became a disciple. Now it has been almost 3 years. Why are you still at the 6th level? What is the reason for this? Clearly, Yu Ning felt that He Pingsheng's breakthrough was too slow. He Pingsheng could only make up a story, saying, this disciple took too many pills before, which damaged his body, so he has been recuperating for a while. Master, don't worry, I'm not far from the 7th level now. I should be able to break through in at most a month. Oh. Yu Ning nodded upon hearing that He Pingsheng could break through in a month, and said, that would be best. After saying that, she looked away and turned to the crowd, saying, everyone, some of you may have already guessed why I summoned you here today, right? That's right, in another 6 months, the Tsuaping Mountain Secret Realm will open. According to the regulations, when the Tsuaping Mountain Secret Realm opens, all inner disciples of our Taishu sect who have reached the late stage of Qi refining can participate. I hope that you will all participate and find your own opportunities within it. Therefore, you must intensify your cultivation throughout your life. Reach the late stage of Qi refining as soon as possible. He Pingsheng immediately understood. No wonder his master repeatedly urged him to reach the 7th level of Qi refining as soon as possible. Now he understood why. The Qi refining stage can be roughly divided into 4 levels: early stage, middle stage, late stage, and perfect stage. Initially, it referred to the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd floors. The middle stage consists of the 4th, 5th, and 6th floors. Later on, there were the 7th, 8th, and 9th floors. Perfection is achieved through 10, 11, or 12 layers. The minimum requirement to participate in the Tsuaping Mountain Secret Realm is to be in the late stage of Qi refining. Therefore, as long as one reaches the 7th level of Qi refining, theoretically one is qualified to participate in that secret realm. Yes, Master. He Pingsheng bowed respectfully. Yu Ning nodded and continued, this Tsuaping Mountain Secret Realm only opens once every 30 years, making it an invaluable training ground for Qi refining disciples. Today, I will explain the intricacies of it to you, so listen carefully. Yes, the disciples bowed. Yu Ning then began to explain in detail. It turns out that this Tsuaping Mountain Secret Realm belongs to the public resource area of the Matu Mountain Daoxian Alliance. It is covered by a huge array. The grade of the array is unknown, but it must have been set up by the ancestors. The formation has a unique feature. It excludes cultivators above the Qi refining stage from entering it. In other words, anyone who has reached the foundation establishment stage cannot enter. Of course, it's not that you really can't go in.
传说历史上也曾经有一个宗门的筑基期弟子假装炼气期进入其中，结果这阵法检测到了那筑基期弟子，直接关闭，导致大家都无法试炼寻宝，最后造成了30年才开放一次的试炼直接泡汤。愤怒的修士们联合起来，不但宰了那修士，甚至将那冒牌修士的宗门都直接给灭了。所以从那之后，再也没有筑基期弟子敢冒充炼气期弟子去试炼了。至于进入之后里面的规则，那就简单了。答案是没有规则。进去之后，看到的东西就可以争夺。但是总的来说，各家宗门还是恪守一点，那就是门内团结，以宗门为单位进行搜索。可真的发现了什么了不得的宝贝，宗门弟子之间相互争斗，甚至于生死搏杀的，也不是没有，多着呢。死了就死了，无人问津。各派基本上达成了一个共识，那就是在试炼之中损失的弟子，不算门派仇怨。有本事你们就在试炼之地里面解决。至于在试炼之地中取得的物品，一般来说，宗门和个人对半分。 喜欢聚宝仙盆，请大家收藏3w.shueig1.net。聚宝仙盆书海格小说网更新速度全网最快。
Chapter 58 The Truth. Let's go, junior brother. After leaving Yuning Palace, Zhao Linga took He Pingxing's hand and said, "Let's go have a cup of spiritual tea with He Laobar and chat." Beside him, the 8th brother Xu Kunlun and the 7th brother Qian Xiaoqing were both looking at He Pingxing. Both of them had expectant looks on their faces. Walk. He Pingxing naturally couldn't be ungrateful, so he readily agreed. Ha ha ha. The fat Xu Kunlun was overjoyed and said, "Great. Come on, Lao Ju. Let me tell you, I have some spirit tea. I guarantee you'll be satisfied after you drink it. Let's go." At first, He Pingxing thought that these people were trying to win him over so that he could help them refine pills. He didn't refuse, simply because he thought it didn't matter if he refined pills. Refining one more batch each month would be enough. But he was wrong. The other party did not intend for him to refine pills. Entering Xu Kunlun's courtyard, everyone sat down in his room. Xu Kunlun said, Come, have some tea. The reason we're all getting together is for the upcoming Tsuaping Mountain trial. As he poured tea for everyone, he said, "This thing only happens once every 30 years, and none of us have ever been inside, but it's said to be extremely dangerous. My senior brothers have all reached the minor and major perfections of the qi refining stage, so they won't take us with them. The 4 of us who are at the late stage of qi refining can only play together." He Pingxing nodded. That's true. Yuning has 9 fellow disciples. The first 5 of them are all at or above the 10th level of the qi refining stage, which is the perfect stage of qi refining. The 5 of them usually stick together and don't usually include Xu Kunlun and the others. Let me say this first. Xu Kunlun said, "We are all fellow disciples, not brothers and sisters, but closer than brothers and sisters. When we get to that secret realm, the 4 of us will work together to find opportunities. How about we distribute the treasures we get according to everyone's contribution?" Xu Kunlun looked at the group of people. "I have no objection." Zhao Linga raised her hand in agreement. Qian Xiaoqing said, "I have no objection either." He Pingxing also said, "I have no objection either." For He Pingxing, having someone to team up with and share their ups and downs is the best thing ever. He didn't think that a mere disciple at the 7th level of qi refining could encounter any heaven-defying opportunities after entering. Of course, this is only the 6th floor now. The 7th floor is what we're talking about later. All right. Xu Kunlun said, "It's settled then. Also, after Lao Ju breaks through to the 7th level, let's go to Matu Mountain together to buy some self-defense items, just in case." No one had any objections. After saying that, Xu Kunlun looked at He Pingxing with a solemn expression and said, "Junior brother He, I was away from the sect for a while, and I heard that you were almost swallowed by that beast raised by senior Uncle Yuda." He Pingxing nodded and said, "Yes, it's not that beast's fault, someone plotted against me." "I know." Xu Kunlun said, "It's that little bitch Linglong. Damn it, if she falls into my hands, I'll definitely *P her first." Looking up at Qian Xiaoqing and Zhao Linga beside him, Xu Kunlun suddenly realized that what he said was inappropriate, and quickly changed his words. "Kill her, this woman is too arrogant and too despicable. Junior brother, you don't know, she has harmed a lot of people over the years because she is the granddaughter of Master Yuda. In the past, there was a young alchemist in our Xiuzhu Peak alchemy room named Hao Yun." Xu Kunlun counted on his fingers, as if reciting a familiar story. She went to the alchemy room to refine pills, but failed, and the blame was placed on Hao Yun. Hao Yun was beaten half to death, but then that brat somehow got hold of a top-grade, golden bone pill, and ate it. That little bitch tortured Hao Yun all night to get the source of that golden bone pill. Hao Yun is really stubborn. He didn't say a word until he died. In the end, he was killed by that little bitch." He Pingxing appeared calm on the surface, but inwardly he was filled with shock. "Senior brother Hao, he didn't betray me even in death." Sigh. Qian Xiaoqing sighed and said, "So what? Hao Yun was just an outer disciple with no background. while Linglong was the granddaughter of Master Yuda. Even though she killed Hao Yun, she only had to reflect on her actions for 7 days. This is a human life. And not long ago, when she tried to frame junior brother He, didn't that Daoist Mingzhu die in the end? She killed them too. Chen Xiaoqing's face turned deathly pale. 2 lives, gone just like that. This woman is truly heartless. That's not all. Shu Kunlun continued, I remember a few years ago, when I was only at the 5th level of qi refining, Linglong killed a couple. Back then, there was an outer disciple named Xianxia who angered Linglong for some reason and was swallowed whole by the giant python she commanded. He Pingsheng's body trembled violently. Xianxia? Xianxia? Isn't this my dad? And then? He asked, somewhat flustered. Shu Kunlun said, and then? Then Xianxia's Daoist partner came to argue, and was killed by Uncle Master Yuda. Alas, this woman really is a wicked person. He Pingsheng gently closed his eyes and took a deep breath. He tried hard not to let his tears fall. Try to stay calm. Father. Mother. So that's how they died? Uncle Jiang told him that his father had encountered a monster while out and about and was killed by it. His mother, in an attempt to avenge her father, also went to find the monster and was killed as well. This chapter is not finished. Please click the next page to continue reading. It wasn't a monster after all. They are human. It refers to the grandmother and granddaughter pair, Linglong and Yuda. Junior brother He. Zhao Linga looked at He Pingsheng and asked, what's wrong? He Pingsheng's face was a little pale. He opened his eyes, forced a smile, and said, I'm a little scared. I'm also a little scared. Don't be afraid. Zhao Linga reached out and patted He Pingsheng's shoulder, saying, it's all in the past. Just be careful when you see her in the future. Oh, right. Chen Xiaoqing suddenly said, I'm worried that junior brother He might offend Linglong. What if she's keeping an eye on us when we go to the secret realm for the trial? What are you afraid of? Shu Kunlun slammed his hand on the table and said, when the time comes, the 4 of us will work together. I don't believe she'll dare to come and kill us to silence us. Chen Xiaoqing said, that's true. The group chatted amongst themselves, but He Pingsheng didn't interrupt. He tried to keep himself calm. A series of past events, when connected, revealed a cause and effect. He remembered that back when he and Hao Yun were doing odd jobs in the alchemy room, his senior uncle Yu Xian had once gone to refine pills, and when he saw He Pingsheng, he asked, do you know Xianxia? He Pingsheng naturally said he knew him. Later, Master Yu Xian reminded him, in the future, in front of outsiders, never say that you are Xianxia's son. He Pingsheng was completely baffled at the time. It now appears that Master Yu Xian did this to protect him and prevent Yu De and his grandson from knowing his identity. Upon comparison, the enemy who killed his parents then becomes clear. It refers to the grandfather and grandson, Yu De. Chapter 59 Bottleneck Call. He Pingsheng took a deep breath, silently calculating when he could break through to the foundation establishment stage so he could kill that bastard Yu De. However, it must be quite far away. Senior brother Yu. He Pingsheng looked at Shu Kunlun and asked, how much do you know about this secret realm? Do you have a map? Yes. Shu Kunlun said, there is definitely a map, but it's useless inside this secret realm. The map only shows the terrain, and the locations of the rare and precious materials change every 30 years. He Pingsheng then asked, are there any rare and precious treasures inside? There are so many. Shu Kunlun said, the rare and precious materials inside are countless. Think about it, junior brother. Don't all these spiritual roots and herbs need spiritual energy to reproduce? He Pingsheng nodded. Shu Kunlun said, this secret realm originally had several spiritual veins, and it was also shrouded by an enormous array, so the spiritual energy inside could not dissipate and became increasingly dense. And so, a secret realm was formed here. 30 years of accumulation. Can you imagine how many spiritual plants are included? Of course, at most, it's still a first-grade spiritual herb. That is, all the materials used to refine pills such as the clear spirit pill, gathering chi pill, golden bone pill, and nourish yuan pill. These are the most numerous. Secondly, there are second-grade materials. This secret realm also contains various materials for refining those second-grade pills, the spirit gathering pill, the foundation establishment pill, and the clarity pill. However, the materials needed for a second-grade pill are much less than those needed for a first-grade pill. Besides these, you can occasionally see some third-grade spiritual roots, and those are valuable. When Shu Kunlun got excited, his saliva flew everywhere, and when his mouth became dry, he quickly picked up the spiritual tea and took a sip. Zhao Linga added from the side, besides these, there is another kind of extraordinary natural treasure, which is the water element spirit apricot. Someone once found the water elemental apricot in the heavenly pool within the secret realm. Yes, yes, yes. Shu Kunlun exclaimed, the water elemental apricot is the real treasure. He Pingxing asked with a puzzled look, may I ask, senior brother and senior sister, what exactly is this water elemental apricot? Zhao Linga said, the water elemental apricot is the pinnacle of first-grade natural treasures. Swallowing just one of these will allow a chi refining cultivator to break through to the next level without any hindrance. I heard that when the secret realm opened last time, some people fought each other over a water elemental apricot, resulting in the deaths of 6 or 7 cultivators at the 11th level of chi refining. He Pingxing said, it's not that bad. No matter how precious this thing is, can it be more precious than life? At worst, we can just give it up, there's no need to fight for it. Cultivation may be slow, but if it takes 2 years, can't we break through a level in 3 to 5 years? Zhao Linga touched her forehead. Chen Xiaoqing smiled. He Pingxing asked, what are you laughing at? He. Shu Kunlun said, junior brother, you don't know this. We cultivators in the early, middle, and late stages of chi refining, just as you said, don't need to worry when cultivating. As long as we have enough spiritual energy, or as long as we have pills, breaking through is only a matter of time. Hurry up, break through 1 level every year. It might take 2 or 3 years to break through 1 level. Of course, I'm talking about when there's a sufficient supply of pills. However, junior brother. Shu Kunlun smiled and looked at He Pingxing, you may not know this, but this elixir is not a panacea. Because when cultivators reach the chi refining stage, without exception, they will encounter their first bottleneck in cultivation. He Pingxing chimed in, bottleneck. That's right. Shu Kunlun continued, otherwise, if cultivation were so easy, wouldn't foundation establishment cultivators be everywhere? But the reality is quite the opposite. Very few cultivators can actually reach the foundation establishment stage. It's all because of this bottleneck in the chi refining stage. Of course, I haven't reached the 10th level of chi refining yet, so I don't understand the bottleneck. But I've heard from my senior brothers that once you reach the 10th level of chi refining, you'll inevitably encounter this bottleneck sooner or later. Some people are more talented and encounter it later, at the 12th level. Some people have weak talent, they'll encounter them at the 10th level of chi refining. And most of them will encounter a bottleneck at the 11th level of the chi refining stage. Brother. Shu Kunlun looked at He Pingxing with a grin and said, with your 5 elemental roots, forgive my bluntness, but I'm afraid you'll encounter a bottleneck at the 10th level. At this moment, He Pingxing had not yet realized the seriousness of the matter, and only asked curiously, a bottleneck, is it difficult to break through? No. Shu Kunlun shook his head. The bottleneck isn't that it's difficult to break through, it's that it's simply impossible to break through. There are only 2 ways to break through this bottleneck. First, you found a heaven-defying item like the water elemental apricot. Swallowing it in 1 gulp will allow you to break through a bottleneck. Secondly, you might have a great opportunity, suddenly gaining insight into some profound truth about the universe, which could also help you break through your bottleneck. Anyway, it's very difficult. For most people in this world, the bottleneck is something they can't break through. It's the end of their cultivation journey. Moreover, brother, in your situation, even breaking through one bottleneck won't help. If breaking through the 10th level is a bottleneck for you, then breaking through the 11th and 12th levels will also be bottlenecks. Upon hearing this, He Pingsheng fell silent. Does this mean that swallowing the pill again is useless? Then, if I cultivate diligently, when will I reach the foundation establishment stage? How can I take revenge if I can't even reach the foundation establishment stage? The key question is, what if there are 3 bottlenecks? All right, stop scaring him. Zhao Linga rolled her eyes at Xu Kunlun and said, we don't know what will happen in the future. It's not like people with 5 elemental roots will necessarily encounter 3 bottlenecks. Sometimes, even those with single spiritual roots have 3 bottlenecks, don't they? You can't generalize like that. Zhao Linga stood up and said, all right, let's not talk about this anymore. We should focus on cultivating properly in the present. In the future, we'll deal with whatever comes, soldiers against soldiers, water against earth. There's no need to worry about what hasn't happened yet. That's right. Chen Xiaoqing agreed. No need to worry about the future. He Pingsheng thought about it and felt they were correct. He was only at the 6th layer of qi refining right now. Who knew how long it would take to reach the 10th layer? Besides, he was a man who possessed the treasure-gathering basin. What bottlenecks did he have to fear? Senior brother Yu. He Pingsheng stood up and cupped his hands toward Xu Kunlun. This little brother will go back to cultivate first. If I can't even break through to the 7th layer, then everything else is just empty talk. That's true as well. Xu Kunlun said. Go ahead then. Oh right, I have some spiritual tea here. Take it and drink it. I'll give you 2 catties. This is really good stuff. Drink more of it regularly, it helps calm the mind. As he spoke, he handed He Pingsheng a large bag of spiritual tea. Chapter 60 Preparing back in my little courtyard. He Pingsheng first checked his own formation. Only when there are no problems should one begin secluded cultivation. It's time to try and break through to the 7th level of the qi refining stage. He Pingsheng took out a top-grade qi gathering pill and swallowed it in one gulp. Immediately afterwards, the true fire separation technique within his body began to circulate wildly. In fact, He Pingsheng had been cultivating for a long time and was not far from breaking through to the 7th level. According to his estimate, he could achieve a complete breakthrough in another month. However, the breakthrough came sooner than he had estimated. About 10 days later, He Pingsheng broke through the physical barrier in his body and his cultivation level broke through in an instant. Qi refining stage 7. After reaching the 7th level of qi refining, his divine sense also suddenly improved significantly. I've broken through. He Pingsheng took a deep breath in overjoyed excitement, then waved his hand, revealing one of the hidden storage bags. Splash! He poured out many items. There are magical artifacts, talismans, and spirit stones here. In a while, we will be entering the Tsuaping Mountain secret realm for trials. Although it is a treasure trove, it is also a place of life and death, so we must be careful. You must be fully prepared before you go in. So He Pingsheng began to take stock of the items he now owned. What else needs to be added? First, the ritual implements. He possesses many magical artifacts. The top-grade magical artifacts include 4 flying swords, 1 greenwood shield, 1 alchemy furnace, and 2 cloud-piercing boats. Of these 4 top-grade flying swords, 2 were obtained through his purchase and enhancement. The other 2 were obtained by enhancing the flying sword of the Black Wind boss. The cloud-piercing boat was originally obtained from the leaders of the Black Wind trio after they were killed. It was only a mid-grade magic weapon. Later, He Pingsheng put it into the treasure basin and enhanced it into 2 top-grade cloud-piercing boats. The 2 enhanced cloud-piercing boats are exactly the same. They can be opened and piloted using magic. Extremely fast. However, if the mana in one's body is insufficient to support it, it is not a problem. Spirit stones can be filled into the slots of the cloud-piercing boat, and the spiritual energy inside the spirit stones can be used as the energy source to drive the cloud-piercing boat to fly at high speed. In addition to ritual implements, there are also talismans. He Pingxing also has 2 talismans. 1. Ice Arrow Talisman, 1. Fireball Talisman. These 2 items are incredibly powerful weapons. He used these 2 talismans to kill the eldest and third of the Black Wind 3 fiends. Both were fatal with a single blow. He Pingxing felt that this thing would be enough to give even a Qi refining stage 12 expert a hard time. As for whether it can be killed, I don't know. Unfortunately, there are only 2 left. He Pingxing made a decision. He would go back to the Matushan market to buy some low-level talismans, and then use the treasure basin to upgrade them one by one into top-grade talismans. It's good for self-defense. Besides that, there are spirit stones. In front of He Pingxing was a large pile of mid-grade spirit stones, each the size of an egg. The treasure basin can enhance all things, but He Pingxing's treasures are limited, so when he has no treasures to enhance it, he will take out spirit stones to enhance the treasure basin. At the beginning, he threw several hundred spirit stones into the treasure basin all at once. However, the next day they discovered that even this treasure bowl had its limits. It can only enhance one of them. Strengthen 1 low-grade spirit stone into 2 mid-grade spirit stones. Although it's a bit slow, it doesn't matter. Therefore, whenever there were no treasures to enhance his abilities, He Pingxing would use spirit stones to enhance his abilities. Over time, he accumulated more than 400 mid-grade spirit stones. According to the miscellaneous records of cultivation, 1 mid-grade spirit stone can be exchanged for 10,000 low-grade spirit stones. More than 400 pieces, that's more than 4 million. He Pingxing is definitely a very wealthy man. Unfortunately, his cultivation level was too low, and he was unable to control this mid-grade spirit stone. We can only save it for later use. Besides talismans, magical artifacts, and spirit stones, there are also elixirs. He currently possesses mainly Qi gathering pills, with over 100 batches, all of them of the highest quality. In addition to the Qi gathering pill, there are also 2 batches of the supreme grade golden bone pill, totaling 24 pills. There are also some called Bigu Dan, Bigu pills. These pills are enough for his current needs. As for spells, there are 2 with offensive attributes, Fire Crow and Yellow Turban Warrior. There are many defensive techniques. Water Release, you can use water currents to escape quickly, then there's the Fire Shield technique and the Metal Shield. There are still 6 months until the secret realm of Tsuaping Mountain opens, so there's no rush to buy other items. He Pingxing did not leave the seclusion and continued his cultivation. The fire attribute Dantian has been cultivated to the 7th level of Qi refining. But what about the other 4 attributes? Metal, wood, water, and earth? Let's continue. He Pingxing began practicing the wood attribute, Changchun Xingqi Ju. A month later, his wood attribute Dantian broke through and reached the 7th level. In fact, this breakthrough is different from the initial breakthrough of the fire attribute Dantian. Because his cultivation had reached the 7th level of Qi refining, it was relatively easy to improve the rest of his Dantian. He only needed to accumulate spiritual power, and there was no physical barrier to break through. 4 months later, He Pingxing finally cultivated all 5 Dantian, energy centers, of metal, wood, water, fire, and earth to the 7th level of the Qi refining stage. There is only a little over a month left before the secret realm of Tsuaping Mountain opens. At the same time, he also learned the 2 spells, Ren Water Escape Technique, and Diamond Shield. My dear reader, there's more to, even more exciting content awaits. He Pingxing activated the formation and stepped out of the courtyard. Not far away is the courtyard of senior sister Zhao Linga, the 6th sister. That's great. Junior brother, you've broken through. Zhao Linga looked at He Pingxing and said, Chen Xiaoqing, He Lao Ba, and I were all worried that you wouldn't be able to break through. Why did you go into seclusion for so long? Before long, Xu Kunlun and Chen Xiaoqing also arrived. The 2 of them also scanned He Pingxing with their divine senses, and everyone breathed a sigh of relief when they saw that He Pingxing had broken through. He Pingxing didn't stand on ceremony. You scanned me with your divine sense, so it shouldn't be considered impolite of me to scan back, right? He discovered that Zhao Linga had also broken through, and was now at the 9th level of the Qi refining stage. Chen Xiaoqing is at the 8th level of Qi refining. As for Xu Kunlun, he was at the same level as him, at the 7th level of qi refining. Let's go, let's go. Zhao Linga said, now that everyone's gathered, I'll go ask Master for permission to go to the market near Matu Mountain to buy some items. Great. Everyone became excited when they heard that they were going to Matushan Market. Zhao Linga personally went to Yuning Palace and spoke with Yuning Zhanren, and then the group went down the mountain together. Upon reaching the foot of the mountain, Zhao Linga took out a paper crane and said, one paper crane probably can't carry the 4 of us. Does anyone else have a paper crane? I have it, I have it. Ha ha ha. Shu Kunlun also took out a paper crane and said, come on. 9th brother, sit behind me. Before long, 2 yellow cranes soared into the sky and headed towards the market town on Matu Mountain. Zhao Linga and Qian Xiaoqing sat together, while He Pingxing and Shu Kunlun sat together. Under normal circumstances, there would be no danger in such an action, where the 4 people are dressed in the robes of a prestigious sect and are acting together. Robbers like the Black Wind 3 fiends wouldn't dare touch these inner disciples of prestigious sects even if they had 10 lives. After all, this is the Dao Xian Alliance.